Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Black on Black Cinema. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
Terrence.
What's up?
And special guest, Juwan.
What up?
All right, guys. Juwan, of course, for folks who may know him by another name, also known by JTD from our other show. You can thank him for all the disgusting what the fuck stories every week. This is a long overdue. Yeah, see, Terrence is this is a long overdue guest spot. So we finally got this one happening on a very good episode, I think. Juwan is also one of the hosts of a podcast called Edit That Out. So make sure you check that out wherever you can find podcasts.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about Edit That Out? What will people expect when they hear it?
You can expect a bunch of ignorant shit. No, we are kind of a hodgepodge TV, movie / pop culture podcast, such as you all on the Nerdpocalypse. We kind of do a little bit more of niche things. I think we discussed things like Euphoria. We started out discussing a couple of Netflix shows. We're going to be covering House of the Dragon coming up soon. We do movies. We do a little bit of everything, but mostly it's just me and my two co-hosts, Jamel and Devin, just like coming together, shooting the shit, and just kind of like just talking about the stuff we like, just like you all. So check us out.
All right.
All right. So this is episode 261, Origin. This is, of course, based on the Isabel Wilkerson book Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. You can rent this, Amazon, that sort of thing. I would highly recommend watching this movie before listening to this episode or reading the book. Either one, just because I think there is a lot to be said about this story. So we're gonna give you all the details and all our thoughts on it. I'll go to Terrence first because Terrence, you saw it before all of us, and you had recommended we do this. So what were your thoughts on the film?
I thought it was pretty good. It's actually very good. It gives a different. I'm lost the fucking word I'm thinking about. But it tried to tell us a different story and why racism exists in this country. And I think it does a decent enough job, kind of. But I think there might be some flaws in the logic to what she's talking about. The book itself, the Caste book, I haven't read the book yet. But the movie's good. Like, I just enjoyed it overall. It's a rough watch. It's kind of sad. You're not going to be feeling very good at the end of this, but I think it's good. It's a good watch. I don't really have a lot to say about the movie.
Okay, Juwan, what did you think?
Here comes the hyperbole. I think this is a masterpiece. I think I no bullshit. I think this is like one of Ava DuVernay's best films, and not to overshadow Selma. What she was able to do in turning this dense, and I haven't read Caste, but just knowing, hearing people talk about that particular book and knowing who the author is, just turning that dense book of nonfiction into this type of narrative and weaving it all together along with the personal story of Isabel Wilkerson and what was going on in her life with these racial social constructs that we're all trapped in. I think that she did an outstanding job with what she was given to work with. I'll go ahead and say this right now. It's not a perfect movie by any means. One of my quibbles, and this is more of a quibble in the industry, I think that Neon did her a disservice by releasing this in 2020 at the end of 2023. I think that if this had been maybe late January or early February, this could have definitely been a contender for major awards. And I know Black folks, we're not supposed to care about that shit, but it is what it is. I do think if it was a 2024 release, it would still be in the conversation on through the end of the year as for up for major awards. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if you guys share that, but yeah, I do think this is like a masterpiece from Ava DuVernay, and I'm hoping that she continues on this journey of doing more things like this.
Okay, Micah, your thoughts?
I agree with you. This is her best movie. She doesn't have a wide-ranging filmography, but you know, it's quality over quantity, and you know, surprise, surprise, Ava DuVernay is really good at making melancholy movies. I mean, it's you know, we'll talk about all the story beats and the themes that the movie touches on, but I want to just point out how well this movie is in that it mixes, in my opinion, it mixes a lot of styles, right? Like it is part period piece, it's part modern drama, it's part documentary, and all of that kind of coalesces into something that is good, right? Like it doesn't feel like, oh man, I'm not jarred out of the movie when we're talking about the Germany sections or the Indian sections or you know, so it's kudos to her for being able to deftly weave in and out of different time periods and but making everything coalesce together. She's very, very good at what she does, and this feels like one of those, you know, movies that you take a class to. You know what I mean? Because you know you're not going to get people to read a book if they're not prone to reading. They're not going to read a book. So this is the next best thing, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, this is really great, man. This is really great. Be in the mood to feel feelings. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
I don't have feelings.
You didn't cry?
No. What is that?
What is this salty discharge?
Like, no, I don't cry at movies. It depends. It depends on the situation, but the most, like 9 times out of 10, even if it's like the worst thing, I just.
Yeah, I cried a couple times in this movie. I was a big old bitch.
It's a
sitting
problem
at the island in my kitchen.
It's like it's something wrong with. There's nothing wrong with me. I just process emotions differently than everyone. I have autism, guys.
Yeah.
Shut up.
All right. Okay.
We're gonna start the fuckery off at 8 minutes. Good job. Lose 30%
I'm not
of our
going to
audience.
self-diagose myself.
Please,
I'm both. I hope everyone understood the joke. This is a black podcast. You should know.
Yeah.
Everybody's a problem but you.
Yeah, everyone's a problem. So look, I am in agreement.
Scholar.
I am in agreement with all of you. I think this movie is excellent. I think it's stellar work from Ava DuVernay. I don't understand why people sleep on her. I really don't. I think she is just a phenomenal director.
I don't think they do, to be perfectly honest with you. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't think they do. I think, like I said before, she makes movies that are, you know, book reports, and she
niggas like to watch.
Right. She makes movies that you know, you might learn something. And look, if you like what you like, right? You like what you like, but we stress that, you know, maybe try to expand your palette a bit.
Yeah. And look, I'm not expecting her to do movies that, you know, like when I watch an Ava DuVernay film, I don't have to say to myself, "Oh man, ain't no lasers in it," right? Like I'm not shocked by this. But to Micah's point, it does mix a bunch of genres. I mean, even I wrote down just narrative, documentary, I mean, which is the most obvious one. There are people playing characters and they're playing themselves, right? Like these Indian scholars and things like that. They're the people that they interviewed for the actual book, right? Like it is very real. And it moves in such a easy way between those two styles and actually multiple styles. As Micah pointed out. Look, I thought it was great. We haven't mentioned the actors in it yet. Look, I thought Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor, Jon Bernthal, Audra McDonald, Niecy Nash-Betts, Blair Underwood, Nick Offerman, Vera Farmiga, like everyone is good in this movie. There's nobody like, oh, well, like, hey, you could have done better. Like everybody's got a part to play, and they're all very good. I was deeply impressed by the storytelling. I really was. It's maybe one of the better movies I've seen in a long time. It hits on a thing that I think is so important, and it is a way I personally feel. We are far more similar than we are different. And I think people love to put roadblocks up between themselves and others to be like, no, what I went through or what my people went through is the only thing, right? And it's like, no, man, there's actually a real connective tissue between these things. And it's fascinating. And it's like the whole time it felt like DuVernay being able to sort of show Isabel Wilkerson's life as it's sort of falling apart and she's losing all these people. To me, it felt like almost a one-to-one of like she's becoming disconnected to the things that ground her life, these people who grounded her life, her mother, her cousin, her husband. And it feels like the same through line of Americans or even just people in general are being so disconnected to actual history that they don't realize like Nazi Germany wasn't that long ago. Slavery wasn't that long ago. You know, the issues, you know, in India are quite literally still happening, right? Like we're becoming so disconnected from these things that are right there, that have been, you know, history holds us onto the ground, you know, so to speak. So I just thought it was, I'd like to watch this movie and listen to Isabel Wilkerson and Ava DuVernay talk about this movie and this book. I could listen to them immediately after it because I just found it so fascinating.
Absolutely.
I also think her theory is really fucking good. I think it's a really good theory. I'd like to read the book to sort of, I'm sure there's more detail to it and everything else, but it's good. I mean, I think, you know, there's a couple people on our YouTube channel who said, yeah, I read the book. You know, I haven't watched the movie, wondering if the movie's worth your time. It's fucking worth your time. It is.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're one of those fancy people who likes to read books and shit for fun, you know, good on you. But no, this is it's definitely worth your time. I thought it was wonderfully acted, wonderfully shot. Yeah, it's all around. And when They See Us was the top of the heat for me for her work because I just thought it was, especially that last fucking episode was just unbelievable. This matches it. At least it matches it. I mean, it's equally as powerful of a story. I mean, When They See Us was fucking mind blowing, especially that performance in the last episode. But yeah, this is pretty damn great. I think it's probably of her feature films, it's definitely the best, easily.
Absolutely.
All right, so I guess I'll go ahead and start. Mike, if you want to like kind of jump in back and forth for the timeline. So the film starts out quite simply with a sort of a dramatization version of the death of Trayvon Martin. It's hard to watch. Like it actually is hard to watch, even though this is, you know, not showing any, you know, real footage or anything like that, but just dramatizing this. And like you see the Skittles get put on the counter when he goes to the convenience store and stuff. Like those details, you know, right? Like even if you didn't remember it, just like the second you saw it, it just like it kind of pulled me back into that. And so, I mean, I don't need to kind of go through the death of Trayvon Martin. If you don't know that story, it's weird that you're listening to this episode. But
when I saw that, I was like, God damn, man! Like, we really just like starting with this. Like, shit.
Yeah, I didn't. The tears did not come at that moment, but it's playing on the screen right now in the background. But it just hit me like, okay, this is how we're starting. Okay, this is where we're gonna start off. I'm in for an emotional ride. Take me away, Ava, because the death of Trayvon Martin and the subsequent trial, which they do kind of get into, they don't actually show any footage from it. That really affected me back when that all was happening. Just to kind of see that dramatized on screen when I don't think it has been done before, but just by seeing that, it automatically put me in a mood like that. Okay. I'm really gonna have to just buckle down and just be willing to be taken over by this film and just see where she's gonna go with this. So, and I think she gave us a lot of up and down moments. It wasn't steeped. I'm not trying to skip ahead, but I know it's not always steeped in sadness. But just from that opening scene, I was like, okay, I gotta be prepared.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a more jarring open scene, and Micah will know this reference. Since seeing the movie Elle, where that movie, the Paul Verhoeven movie, right, where it's just like,
one,
yeah, it just starts out with a rape scene. You're like, the credits have not rolled. Like, it's like, welcome to the movie. We're not going to slow roll this. We're jumping right in. Fucking just hold on, right? And it's a powerful scene because she does I think a smart thing of showing part of it up until like you see the car kind of roll up and he's being followed, and that's where she cuts the scene. But then they go back to it later, right? So you're like, oh, thank God we're past it. Like, no, not exactly. Nope. Like, we're gonna go back, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was, she does that a number of times to sort of build tension and then come out of it to give you a breather, right? Which I thought was helpful, to be honest. The next scene, we see her and her husband, Brett, coming home. Her husband is played by Jon Bernthal. And they're just, like a regular fucking couple, right? She's like getting laundry and all this other shit out of the washer. And you come to find out that Isabel's mother lives with them. She's this elder woman. And, she's kind of struggling, and that day they're taking her to a nursing home, and you see Brett actually pick her up and put her in her wheelchair and everything else. And they all clearly care about her, and she cares about them, right? So it's just sort of establishing this family exists. Even, this interracial family exists, and they are a normal family, right? Like, there's nothing particularly special about them. And that's kind of the point, because especially the last words of this movie, which I thought was fucking really powerful, the ending of the book. So, they're walking around the nursing home, they're showing her the nursing home, and the mom is kind of accepting it. She wanted to go because she didn't want to be alone.
Exactly. That was her wish to go and let Isabel live her life, which I found that pretty powerful because, and they do mention this as far as like, especially within the Black community, we kind of don't do this. We kind of want to, nursing homes is like a last resort,
right.
But that we stick close to our parents or our grandparents and our elders, and we want to keep them around. We may not have generational wealth, but we have generational households that are tied together. So I found that a pretty powerful statement, by the mom, that she wants to live her life on her own terms. And if it's going to be in this nursing home, I'm cool. I'm going to accept that. And that Isabel is the one that is trying to hold on, and trying to hold on to her mother, and mama got to have a life too.
Right. Exactly. And look, I'm going to forward this. I'm going to copy this scene and I'm going to send it to my mother. Because she always tells you, you're going to put me in a nursing home. And I was like, yes, the cheapest one I can find. You're absolutely right. I'll William myself. See, like, look, this mom, she wanted to go. You'd be like her. She's a prize.
So
no,
would-
I mean it
would
is
you-
it is a good point.
Would you have your like when your mother gets to a certain age, would you want her to live with you, or was that a joke?
Who you talking? About?
Like I'm talking to any of y'all.
Huh? Hold on, I think my headphones are broken.
Like if you got to a point, because like Juwan said, like we have generational households. I didn't come from that cloth. I don't have any grandparents. they all died. They're all dead. I have my mother left. That's literally it.
You gonna let your mom live with you? Huh?
Here's the thing. My mother is she's not even 60 yet. So I've got plenty of time. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
that's not what I asked though. I didn't ask how old your mom was. I said
See, but here's the
saying
thing.
to
Here's
you
the thing.
I'm
Terrence's-
probably going to be what?
Terrence's
Go ahead.
mom is lucky enough to also have a daughter because daughters take care of their parents.
yeah, that is the thing.
They do.
Yeah, but my sister moved to my sister lives in she moved to Phoenix, Arizona last month. I don't know if my mother likes hot climates. So
She's gonna be too old to fight. Like you just get on the plane, pipe
my
down,
brother.
pipe down.
That nigga got that shit. He'll be fine.
Go live with
Like, I'm just saying.
That's funny. So from there,
Ain't none of y'all answered the question though.
Huh?
Y'all never answered. The
Yeah, I
question.
know.
None of
come
y'all.
on, nigga. Let's just move on. Are we over here talking? Why are you bringing up old shit?
No,
I mean, I
my
think-
mother will
I-
not be living with us. My mother has special medical needs that we cannot
Yeah,
accommodate. So
Yes, that's
no, she will not be
That's
living
it.
with us.
My mom doesn't. No.
No,
Like, nah, I'm good.
no, my mom probably would not want to live here.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like our parents would be like, "No, I ain't not living with you, nigga. What the fuck's wrong with you?" Like, I'm fine. No.
Yeah, to be honest
good.
with you, the fact that this character was like, I will willingly go to a nursing home is counter to what I am normally. We recently had to put the matriarch of my family in a nursing home, and then she passed away. But she ain't want to go, bro. She was like,
no.
"Nah, I'll be all right. I'm 96 years old. I've been in this house for 70 years. I'll be fine."
Alone. Like, no, you won't. Like, come on now. Like, no, you won't. You need help. No, look, I get it. I understand that desire for independence. At the same time, like, I don't want to go live in a nursing home. Like, it's scary there. What if they try to beat me up? Like,
Yeah, it all depends on what nursing home. Because like, if I put a parent in a nursing home and I hear they wilding in that bitch, not in my
That's what I was
parents,
about to.
but, like,
That's what I was about to say. This nigga's
I'm fucking somebody up. You know,
like, I don't have to beat somebody up for my 85-year-old mother. That sounds crazy. I will, but it sounds crazy. So we get we get the scene where Isabel is going on a trip, and so she's kind of doing some research or what have you, and it flashes to sort of 1930s Germany, and she's having this sort of academic conversation. Go ahead, or it's like
She's telling a story. She's telling a story about how this German man refused to be a part of what his his job was like, visited by Hitler or some shit, and this German man refused to give the salute because he didn't believe in that, and because he fell in love with a Jewish woman, and he realized, like, yo, this is dumb. Like, she's just like, her last name's different, right? Like, but he saw the person and not, her religion. And this comes into play throughout the movie. Like, the whole thesis of this book is that, yes, racism is a thing, right? And it occurs, but it's not the only thing. It's not the reason, the bottom, like, determining factor for bigotry. And, you know, I agree, but also I don't, right? Like it can be a major factor, right?
Okay.
Like, sure. And I know the movie is not trying to, I can see how someone would come to the conclusion that the movie is trying to belittle race because of class, right? We see it now, right? We see Mr. Millionaires and Billionaires, right? Always talking about class, right? We got to help the working people, right? But when someone brings up race to him, he, you know, Heisman's that shit. Like, oh, okay, yeah, but
he freezes hard. He freezes harder than fucking Mitch McConnell over that shit. Right. And it is, and someone seeing this movie now, I can see how they would have images and remember stuff like that. And I don't think the movie is saying this. I think the movie is saying, hey, race isn't the only factor, because we all are being oppressed and we all need to help each other. Like, that's the thesis of the movie. So I don't know. I don't know if the movie is, that's my one major criticism of the movie, is that I know what it's saying, but I don't know if it's saying it as plainly, as explicitly as it could. Does that make any sense?
That's interesting. I thought it said it quite explicitly. I think it was putting it literally in our faces and spoon feeding that this construct of classism is tied to racism, and I definitely think it did as much as it could without. Some people may disagree, but I think it did as much as it could without being too preachy. And us as Black people watching this may think, well, we already know this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things I didn't know as far as like with the Untouchables and stuff like that. I didn't know.
The Indian stuff. I didn't know any of the Indian stuff.
But as Black people, we get it. We understand. We understand race and class and how it subjugates us and subjugates other people. But sometimes you got to spoon feed motherfuckers. You got to.
There is 100% a scene where she goes to see her cousin Marion, and it's like, in case you missed it, let me say this shit in quote literally plain language. Like that was the 100% what that scene was for. So like, right. So I guess my thought was, and maybe to Micah's point, that maybe it is not as clear because we're literally having this conversation about like how we saw it. I thought that she was more so saying that racism is like racism, let's say general bigotry of any kind, right? Because there's more bigotry than just racism. There's sexism, there's homophobia, transphobia, all sorts of things, right? All of those things exist in and of themselves, right? But in order for those things to sort of permeate society, there has to be a structure in society that gives those things weight and power. And I feel like her point is that the caste system is the structure, right? By which people they go, okay, cool. We're doing racism in America. Fucking let's throw that in there. And the system has been created using those pillars that she talks about. And there's actually more of them than the movie touches on. As the sort of the structure by which you do the oppression, right? So I never felt that it was racism being conflated to the caste system so much as here you need a system in order for this shit to work. Like you can just be a racist, but in order to subjugate people into slavery, in order to have a systemic. Like she makes a point later on, I hate to jump ahead, but she makes a point later on where she's talking to Blair Underwood, who wants her to write this article about the Trayvon Martin death, and she said, or murder, and she says, is the racism that got Trayvon Martin killed, is that the same racism that stopped us from having generational wealth? Is that the same one that stopped us from being able to pass on, property to children, stuff like that? And what she's saying is those are systemic things, right? Those are built into laws versus I don't like niggers. Like that's not built into the law. That's a feeling versus how do you build a structure in order to subjugate people? And like, I think her point is that the caste system, like in India, is quite literal of like, you're in this group, you're in this group, you're in this group, you're in this group. None of you should be able to, it's like the top two or so. You can mix really, but the rest of you stay the fuck where you are, right? So all the bigotry can be between me and you, and that doesn't mean anything as a society. But once the caste system is there, then we can start to say, cool, now we can start to shuffle people around. And I think that, at least that's how I took it, is that it's just building the structure by which you permeate the entire society. So, I don't know. Yeah, I asked my wife what caste she was in, or her family's in. It is not.
Did she cut you out?
No. She's
you can tell she's not a part of the caste system because she married your ass.
An American untouchable. Yeah, that's right. She ain't no better. But like Brahmins are the top of the heap. Hers is Kshatriya is one down. So so yeah.
So you're saying, is she saying that racism is a byproduct of the caste system? Is that what she's trying to get at in this movie? Because I feel like if you take the caste system away, like you still have racism. You still have racism.
No. I don't think it's. I don't. At least again, I don't know what her personal feelings are. I'm just how I read it. I don't think it comes across as racism is a byproduct. I think racism is sadly a natural thing that exists between human beings, right? Like, oh, you look different to me. I don't know, right? You start to make these assumptions. It's just sadly human nature. I think the whole idea of the caste system. Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it is.
I don't know, man.
Well, when you say that,
people will always find a way to divide each other. Color and race is the easiest thing. You from a mile away, different, and it doesn't make sense. But people always find a way to divide themselves. Always.
When you say that, someone can intimate that you're saying you are born racist.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, no,
I'm just giving you a chance to clarify.
Yeah, sure. No, I don't think that people are born racist. I'm saying that the idea of dividing people by race is just you're not born. I'm trying to think of a really silly thing to say here, but humans have a tendency to divide. Race is an obvious thing because we can see it. That's why. And we have, as humans, have divided ourselves into races, right? There's no genetic difference between you as a white person and another person as a black person. There's no genetic difference. So
shut up.
I know they weren't born on the planet. Everyone knows the Yakubian theory. It's real. Everyone knows that. No, but
what I'm saying is if I mean, Europeans, they've colonized everything.
Yes.
If they weren't so fucking hell bent on just oppressing everyone,
yes.
Do you think people of color would still, without the if Europeans didn't fuck up the entire world, if every other culture just kind of look at each other, do you think we would still have those divisions?
Yes.
I do, and because we have evidence.
Just not along those same racial lines, but they would.
Yeah, we have evidence of this. I wouldn't think through color. I think just through religion. I'm trying not to use this term. I go ahead and use it through tribalism. Where we are divided by that. We've seen that in certain African cultures, even now. So hell, we fucking follow apartheid because these niggas over here didn't like these niggas over here, and we had not apartheid, but we had these niggas. We had
that was some European shit.
No, I'm not. Well, I will clarify.
But civil wars
like
inside African
Rwanda.
countries.
Yeah,
that's
we had,
Oh, right,
So-
genocide. Yeah, in Rwanda. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
but I think the point. I mean, the whole idea of the caste system in India proves that you will still have it, right? Like you will still have it. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
that's
That was what was so powerful to add that to the book. Is
Yeah.
it's all about colors, all colors.
They're
She's
all
like,
the same race.
they're all the same fucking color, bro. Like they are.
Right.
Now
That's like you said. That's specifically why she
what I said.
cited the Nazis and the Jews and the because those are Europeans who all look alike, right? And the Indians who, they all the same religion. They just
right.
Yeah, I mean, somewhat,
For the
but
most part.
and that's the point is that humans will figure out a way to divide. You put 10 people in a room, and they could all be wearing the same color fucking clothing, exact same uniforms. I mean, it doesn't matter. They will figure out. You got different color hair. You got they will figure out a way. You're tall, you're short, whatever, or average height. However you want to look at it. But they will figure out a way. And race, I think, has just become an easy thing. I mean, the funny thing is, people go,
Go-to.
like it's a go-to, right? Because you can literally watch people say, you can watch people divide themselves along racial lines, and then you talk to them, and you're like, you're nothing like this other person that's the same race as you. Like the old adage, just because they're your skin folk, that doesn't mean they're your kinfolk, right? Like that idea of that your race is the defining marker of like your similarities is actually not true. It's actually not true, right? Not to bring it back to India, but that's what the Europeans did in India. They were just like, this is a country, this is a country. They did it in Africa. This is a country, this is a country. You put people who were in different tribes together and they started warring. Why? Because they were actually not the same. But they're you're all the same color. They didn't give a shit. So I think the caste argument, I don't know if it's a perfect argument, but I think as a structure for oppression across an entire culture or a country or what have you, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I think if you can plug in all the bigotry into it, right? Classism, sexism, racism, and all that shit just fits perfectly down. Cool. Women from this caste? Well, fuck you. You go here. You're in this caste? Well, fuck you. You go here. And it's wild because we like she points out, racism is all we know. And so that's the dividing factor for Americans, and it makes sense because that's what we're fed all the time. So, yeah. I don't know. That's just my opinion, by the way. I'm not saying I'm correct, but that was just my opinion on how I saw it.
sounds like you're a scholar on race, and we shouldn't disagree with you.
That's right.
Look, we have Aunjanue Ellis's character, and she goes to see Blair Underwood, and Blair Underwood was like, "Yo, you're real smart, yo. You should put this in a book." And she's like, "I don't know, man. I got some stuff going on, and this Trayvon Martin thing really kind of, hit me." It's like, "I know. That's why you need to do it. Writers write, and shooters shoot. So write."
A direct quote from the movie, "Shooter shoot." It was weird because he had the arm sleeve on the whole time. Like, it was like with a suit on.
So she's like, "All right, I'll think about it." And then, there's a scene of her, we cut back to the Trayvon Martin murder, and it is, listen to them tapes, man. Well, those were the real tapes, right?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sounded like the real tapes. That was hard to listen to, man. That was hard to listen to.
A captive audience at that.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It just made me.
I got a couple boys, man. I can't imagine. All right, yo.
I understand.
So they're at a cocktail party, right? And,
Can we actually go back a second? Did we get to the part where they're sitting there talking to her? They're watching the trial, and the mom is there.
That is
I think maybe.
Is
that's
that-
a little. That's after the cocktail party. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's after the party, yeah.
Yeah, they're at a cocktail party with two white women who are friendly but do not fully understand her ideas and how different types of bigotry are related.
One's her boss. One's Vera.
Yeah, Vera Farmiga.
Yeah, that's her boss.
Yeah.
And this is actually before. I think this is actually before she goes into her premise, because this is after what happens to Brett. But I think she's just at this cocktail party, and this is when she gets confronted again by Blair Underwood to write a new article or book. But I've been to several of these parties, and they're just as awkward as they have been portrayed as they are portrayed here. So, yeah, exactly.
Where are the hors d'oeuvres? I want to leave. Is the booze free? Great.
Yeah.
Hate all of you. Yeah. No, it's amazing, like how unbelievably uncomfortable every black person in that room feels. Like they seem just like, can we just all talk together and not talk to any of them? It'd be awesome. Great.
Right.
So go ahead, Michael.
So after the cocktail party, they are the husband and wife, Isabel and Brett are sitting there with Isabel's mom, and they're looking at Obama speak, and he's talking about Trayvon Martin, and God love her. The mom is.
Do you remember that speech, by the way? You remember that?
Yes, I do.
This is the one where if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
White people got so fucking mad. Conservatives got, I shouldn't say white people, conservatives got super fucking mad about that. They were like, how dare you empathize with another black child? What a weird.
How dare you think you can have a black son?
Yeah. It's like he was literally saying that shit as a black man. Like he was connecting with, it's just a moment of actual humanity to be like, if I had a son, that he would look like him. And like, yeah, he's right. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how, not to be a dick about it, but I don't understand. All right, to be a little bit of a dick about it.
I was about to say,
Come on. You know what's coming. As a Christian nation, supposedly, I don't understand how anybody can look at the killing of a young boy as something like, you'd want the president to be like, this is a rough moment. And I empathize with the parents of this child. That's what you'd want. But because
he said that he would look like him.
Yeah,
you always got to bring it to race. Playing the race card, Obama.
I mean,
that's the thing that touches them, because they think that race doesn't exist, right? They think that and when you point it out, you're the racist. Like, nah, man. Like, one, black people are just descriptive people, right? If I say you told me to describe Jon Bernthal, I'm gonna say he a white guy with black hair and a big nose. Like that's what I'm gonna say, yo.
I mean,
like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Like, it's a fact. That's how I describe people. Like, race first. Like,
right.
Like,
I mean, how else are you going to get an image in your head,
right,
of what the person looks like?
He's got dark hair, and he's medium built. Is he blue?
Right.
Tell me the color.
Like you're trying to project yourself onto the no, yo. I'm trying to give you a description of what this person looks like.
Right. Especially,
it is so funny hearing white folks trying to talk around and not calling someone by their race. Like, well, it's the guy standing over. It's the other guy that was standing over there.
Tall,
the guy, really tall. He's wearing a red shirt. You mean the black guy? Well, I didn't want to say that.
Like, African American gentleman. Like, knock it off.
I don't see.
I remember sitting at a table.
Not blind.
I remember sitting at a table with somebody, and they were like, African American. I said, it's literally 7 times faster to just say black.
Say black.
Than it is to say African American.
Also, why are you whispering it? It's not a slur.
Right. It's not right.
You call me a nigga. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's fine.
That's
black is fine.
Right. That's like that. Was it the scene from The Office? And he was like, "Hey, is there a less offensive term I can call you besides Mexican?" He was like, "Why would Mexican be offensive?" He's like, "I don't know." Like, it's not a slur. You don't have to whisper African American. That's ridiculous.
So
Yeah.
they're watching Obama, and God bless the mom. She's old school, and she says, "Oh, this is so sad. Why didn't that boy just do what the man said? Right? Like, why didn't
I've
he?"
heard that before.
Of course.
Yeah, like why didn't he just comply? Right? Like, and the Isabel and Brett have to kind of explain to her like, nah, it's not his fault, right? And she's like, no, I know it's not the boy's fault. Don't be stupid, right? But she comes from a time where you had to humble yourself in order to stay safe. And that's the mentality that some people have, probably due to life experience.
100%.
So let's not just jump down the throat. Right. Let's not jump down the throat of people that think like this.
A lot. Yeah.
Let's try to figure out what their, where they came from. And because look, not everybody's a fighter, man. Not everybody's a fighter. And some people just want to live and survive.
And if Mima would have put this on X, formerly known as Twitter, she'll get a bunch of fucking 20-year-olds that don't do shit. But
they don't let her ass up.
You fucking cool. You cool ass 85-year-old woman.
Right. What you know about the struggle? Like, God damn.
Like, excuse me?
I've marched with Martin. No, you didn't. Like, oh, sorry. I mean, look. Look. One.
I need to relax.
Look. One. This is why you put your parents in a home before they say crazy shit. Like, you just get rid of them. Get rid of them. I'm kidding. Relax. No, but the mom has a really good line in this. Isabel says, you like basically you shouldn't have to explain. He shouldn't have to explain himself to anybody, right? And the mom says, should have in real life are two different things. And that's very true. And that sadly comes with experience, right? Like that idea, like I shouldn't have to say shit, I shouldn't have to kowtow, whatever. And you shouldn't. But there are moments that these people have experienced. And, those things happen less and less, but they still happen today. But, the grandmother has probably experienced, and people certainly of her age group have experienced, like, yeah, you get your fucking head blown off for shit like that. Like when she was, 13 or 15 or whatever age, right? So those perspectives of older folks, while I can 100% understand disagreeing with them, and to some extent I do disagree with them, right? Like I don't tip my cap to a white person, when I see them. It's fucking wild. But I do understand that certain times, like, there's a safety issue, and you got to, like, not really trying to be in this area right now. Like, like there are things that we have to think about and we have to consider. And she says he was too young to know this. And sadly, we have to teach black kids so early. Some parents feel the need to teach their black children that, like, they got to give them the talk about police, to talk about white people's bullshit in general. Like, they have to, because where they are, it can save their life. So, and if they don't listen, they can end it.
Yeah, that's happened to me plenty of times. Like I think I've told this story before. I was hanging out with a bunch of Korean dope fellas, right? This was when I was like maybe 22 years old. That was 22 years ago. Jesus, motherfucking Christ. Anyway, we all golly, how old as fuck. But we were hanging out, we were drinking in like this park. And we were sitting in the park to sober up. And we had alcohol in our car. And we parked in front of this house. It was a very large house. It was a white neighborhood. And they called the cops on us, right? If it was just me and like you three niggas, they'd throw my ass in jail. I don't went to jail. But it was like 3 or 4. Exactly. But it was 4 Asian guys. They searched the car and there was like alcohol in the back seat. Open bottles. Hey, let us go.
That model minority status.
Yeah.
Rubbed off of you.
If it was us four, yeah, they'd be like, "You niggas is going to lock up for a couple of days."
Yeah, y'all. If it's four of us, we better be sitting on the hood of the car drinking lattes or some shit.
I was like, yo, I can't believe it. I was like, yo, I'm going to jail tonight. This is fucking.
This is wild. I can't believe y'all better bail me out. Like, yeah, but that is.
But no,
that
I
is
was with
reality.
the right people.
That's sometimes it's
I've
all it
been
takes.
pulled over. I've been pulled over plenty of times. Like again, she said what she said, but like it's not untrue. Like
No,
again, I could be like, "What did you pull me? What the fuck did you pull me over for?" I could like start jabbing, like popping off at the mouth. I don't know what the fuck that nigga's gonna do.
Yeah, would not recommend that.
So I just got to sit there and be like, "Here's my license and registration, whatever, man." I just like, "What did you pull me over for?" Oh, I ran your tags. Why? Why'd you run my why? For what? And that was when I was going to the fucking the Fast and Furious. Remember that?
Yeah,
like it was late.
Yeah.
Because I got pulled over by the cops, just for no reason.
That's ridiculous. Yeah,
just because I had a hoodie on. I had a hoodie on
in your car.
It was raining that day. It was raining. I didn't put the hoodie down, and he pulled me over. He ran my plates, and he pulls me over. It's like there's a flag on your plates. I'm like, first of all, the insurance company fucked that up. I got that fixed like months ago, but he ran them anyway, just because.
Right.
So I've had a lot of experience with this situation she's talking about. So I didn't look at it as I didn't think it was crazy. Because I've dealt with that shit 20 times.
I mean, here's the thing. It's not
even today.
It's not a crazy point that she's making. It's just when you couple that with how a lot of younger black folks feel, like they are diametrically opposed, right?
Right, and her daughter is like, I mean, Aunjanue Ellis is not exactly young, and I understand what she's saying. Like, well, it wasn't his fault. Well, of course, it's not his fault. But like, I feel like she should have just kind of understood what the fuck she was saying, instead of like, you should. I understand, Ma, but instead of saying, nah, fuck that.
I think once you get more worldly, which Aunjanue Ellis's character playing Isabel certainly is, you kind of have a natural rejection. Like, this is not the way that life should be. I don't want to live my life under the thumb of any type of repression. I'm not living to make white people comfortable. Yeah, I'm right there. 100%. That when you get to a certain status in life and you did that on your own merits, I'm not trying to make any white people feel comfortable. I'm at the same level as you are, and you're just not gonna. You just feel like you could talk to me any kind of way, or that I have to kowtow to you. And I would say that maybe even to authority figures, even though I do understand, Terrence, that there is still a level of things we still have to live with, but I do have a rejection of that. And you may not want to, there's ways to do it where you don't have to be, confrontational. And but it is also sad
never confrontational.
I'm just saying that it's sad that shit is not worth it.
I'm just like, I'm just kind of like, all right, nigga, like, just give me my ticket so I can go.
Just give it, exactly.
Do it in a way that,
so
like, I'm not
home.
pissing them off. I'm just like, all right, nigga.
Because you want to make it home.
All right.
Like,
you want to make it home. And they're just worried about, what the fuck what can I do to put this person in jail? And hopefully not much else.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so fast forward just a little bit. We see Isabel is reading a book called Deep South, and she's like reading it in the tub, and she gets out of the bathroom to find Brett lying face down on the floor. He's dead. The movie doesn't say how he died, but in reality, he had a brain tumor. He was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he died. So if you're wondering, like, what the fuck happened, they just didn't go into all of it about him being diagnosed with cancer. So they just, I don't know, they just did it this way, which is it's a little ham-fisted, I guess, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, the movie's not about him, right?
Right,
like
exactly.
He is an accessory to our main character. So
he's in the orbit.
And so then
he was the perfect white man, is what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course you needed that.
They were like, a good one? Get out of here.
That's a good man, Savannah.
Yeah, this isn't a Wrinkle in Time. This is not a fictional movie. Get out of here. It's done. So he dies, and she's pretty brokenhearted about it, obviously. And I guess a number of months later, her mother dies as well.
Yeah.
That's a lot, That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot for anybody to deal with. And it just sort of breaks her in some, from what I can tell, some pretty serious ways, right?
How do you like the stylistic choice? Because I'm watching it right now on screen where she does this stylistic choice of showing these two deaths pretty much back to back with Aunjanue laying down in this field of falling leaves. I kind of found, I guess she was maybe trying to make some kind of like profound statement on grief and how it feels, but I do like that. Do you think it was a little bit too flashy or flourishly in this kind of movie?
It felt a little hacky. I'll be honest. Okay. Like it felt a little hacky to me. I didn't hate it, but it did feel a bit out of place. Mm-hmm. I think it's in and of itself, it is a decent representation of what grief is, right? It's all black background. You're just like, you are there alone. There is nothing else. It's just you dealing with the situation. So from that perspective, I 100% get it. But it just felt in this deeply serious, in the moment kind of film, even with flashbacks and things. Even those flashbacks feel very in the moment. They don't feel like you're 10,000 feet away shooting it. This feels, it pulls it out a little bit. Again, I don't hate the scene or anything. It just felt a little hacky to me.
Well, I do like how it sets up what happens later on in the movie.
What scene are you referring to?
With the kid.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and thinking about that, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't put that together initially. Then we get another scene which I thought was really interesting. Isabel has it's been a number of months since Brett has died, and she has like flooding in her basement. She calls a plumber. The plumber played by Nick Offerman, which is wild. I was like, why is my man from Parks and Rec there? And so he comes in. He's got a MAGA hat on, which immediately makes me uncomfortable, and I don't.
She clocks it immediately.
Yeah. All I can think of is bigotry, and that time Larry David decided to wear it on Curb, which was fucking hilarious. And so it's a really interesting human moment, right? Because here she is still grieving her husband. This guy is, you can tell there is a division between them. The hat puts a division between them. Like, right. You're black, I got the red hat on. We are in literally two different castes, right? Immediately. That's what it feels to me. And she makes this bid for connection, right? She's like, lost my husband, I lost my mom. She was like making small talk. And I mean, it's pretty serious small talk, but she's making small talk. And she's like, oh, are your parents still alive? Oh, my mom. And he says, oh, my mom died in her 50s or whatever. And you can see this human moment where he's like, he's sad about thinking about how young his mom died. And here she is. She's got this, they've got this connection. And then she mentions his father. She's like, oh, what about your dad? Is your dad around? Yeah, he's around. And he's basically like, oh, he's a miserable piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
And immediately you watch the fucking door close and the casts are back, right? For that 1 second human connection, it's done again. And he goes back to just being like this sort of hardline guy. And it's, you can almost see the disappointment in her that like she thought that they could have this, but because they're already disconnected.
Well,
he did break through some. Yeah, she did break through. Because at first he was like, "Nah, you're gonna have to figure out how to do this. So he said something to make it. I'll write you an estimate, right?
I'm gonna write you an estimate, and then they're still talking, and you like, you know what? Let me see, can I help you? Let me see, can I really help you out here? Yeah,
right.
She
So
made a connection. I thought this scene was corny, personally.
It's a bit
It was on the nose.
Heavy-handed, I'll give you that.
With the fucking MAGA, I'd have told a nigga to get the fuck out my house personally and call somebody else. But I understand what the point of the movie was. So,
I kind of wish you would have saw him again. I kind of wish we could have saw him again, especially when they was actually working on the house later. But he had to go off and become the president of the United States for Alex Garland. So
he was like he barely took the hat off to go to that set. I'll just keep going. Don't worry about it. Yeah, the scene is definitely heavy-handed. I like the scene, but it's definitely heavy-handed. Like again,
the scene it's a good scene, but it is a little. I'm not gonna say hacky. I would never call her a hack. I love you, Ava, but yeah, it was a little bit shoehorned in. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna force this connection between a black person and a white person wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand why it's there, but it was not really necessary.
I understood. I understood its purpose. I was just like, this shit is mad corny, but all right, cool. That's just how I thought.
Terrence's character has just been like 1-800 black plumbers. Like I don't trust it.
Them niggas probably try to overcharge me, and I'm like, I don't trust you niggas either. Sorry.
See? That's why we can't progress.
I get a Mexican.
See,
yeah, that's why I only hire Jay's people.
Hey, look. They do good work. But yeah, it's not the best of scenes. So then we get this scene, another fancy pants party. Kind of looks like a bit of an eyes wide shut party, and Isabel is explaining. It's a good movie. Sort of. Isabel is explaining to her boss again, like she's starting to kind of formulate what the structure of this book is, right?
A little bit all over the place too.
Yeah. She's still trying to like, is it what I think it is? Like, she's still doing her research, and she talks about what is referred to as a Dalit professor. A Dalit is an untouchable in India, right? The very lowest class, unfortunately. And she's talking about how this guy, like what he went through, and talks about the caste system and everything else in India is not dissimilar to what is happening in the U.S. And they're still just kind of like, yeah, I'm not really buying it. It doesn't mean anything. Like, yeah, people are oppressed everywhere. But she's insistent on what she refers to as this connective tissue between the two cultures, which is important. But again, she's still trying to formulate what the fuck it is. She then goes to Germany, and she sort of following in the footsteps of the writers of the book Deep South, these two black authors, and while they were doing research in Germany just on, sort of what was going on in German culture, basically pre-war. Right.
Yeah, they were on the precipice of the rise of the Nazi Party.
Right. Like it. I'm sure it had been created at that point, but it had not gotten a foothold into government. Right. And so they go to a library, and they're kind of getting like terrible looks from people, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And this one guy's like, the country is being torn apart. Like, come to this thing tonight, and you can fucking see for yourself. And it's Charleston times a million, right? It is
right.
It's a fucking book burning, yo. Like, don't invite me to a book burning, nigga. What the fuck?
I don't want to be there. I'm surprised Indiana Jones didn't just walk up and is like, he hands the book over to Hitler, and he's like, it's.
Oh my God! That was
yeah. What is that? Fucking Temple of Doom or no? Is it Temple?
No,
it was Last Crusade.
The good one.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah, when he hands in the book. Okay, yeah, that was your favorite one.
No,
Yeah,
Last
it's the best
Crusade
one.
is my favorite one. I enjoy Temple of Doom second best.
We're not gonna rehash that argument.
Look, I like the Temple of Doom. Goddamn.
Look. Sometimes you got to rip a nigga's heart out of his chest. I'm just saying, you just have to.
Kaluma.
It was real. So yeah, they go to this Nazi book burning, and it's interesting, right? Because like Nazis have been so much a part of sort of, I hate to say this term, pop culture, which is a weird thing to say, but they're so part of world history that seeing them is like, that's not what's like shocking. It's, it's like, the fucking salute and all this other shit and the fucking Hugo Boss suits. But for real, that's true. But it's like when they pull the camera back and you see the entirety of that scene with the book burning and the soldiers and everything else, that to me is where the impact is. Up close, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like an Indiana Jones movie. Like, and then Indy comes in and punches them. But when you pull back, you see the scope of their power in the scene, and that's really fucking terrifying to me. Because there are a lot of people in America who still go, yeah, no, this makes sense. Like these guys had the right plans. So it's.
I don't think that we're too far removed from burning books in the middle of Mar-a-Lago.
I mean,
they're banning them.
They're banning them. I mean, that's the modern equivalent. Like it quite literally is. Oh, they talked about gay people in it. Fucking get rid of it. Right? It's no different. It's absolutely no different.
Well, they're banning them in schools, Jay. You can still read the book. You just got to go to a library. That's the reasoning that they're doing.
That's the argument.
We're just banning it from schools. Okay.
All right. For now.
Whatever.
Yeah, don't worry. We're just sending abortion back to the States. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. We wouldn't do a national ban. That would be crazy. Don't vote. Don't vote. Right? That's.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did find it funny though. In the middle of this book of this Nazi book burning, you got these two niggas just casually standing in the middle. We just.
Wow.
Like we just like.
I guess they were passable because like nobody seemed to notice.
They were light skinned enough.
He's kind of passable, but not him.
Not he had that conk.
him.
That conk. No.
Nah.
That conk perm saved his ass that night, boy. Yeah, come to a book burning. Why don't you take some pictures and send them to me? Like, I'm gonna be on the first thing smoking out of this fucking country. Get out of here.
I don't need to see the pictures. Just tell me and I'll believe you. Get the fuck out of here, yo. Like, what the fuck? You got to come to this thing because you won't believe it. I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna believe it.
Seeing is believing. Hearing is believing too. I gotta go. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I do want to visit that site though on my next European tour. I do want to visit that site and see like those empty shelves and things. I think that'll be like a powerful experience to see that like in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the wild thing is they allude to it in the scene that's coming up, but like where Hitler's bunker is, it's like a parking lot now. Like they were like Germans were like, nope, never again. Get the fuck out of here. You will not celebrate this shit on our watch. Like you go to jail for showing a swastika. Like they don't fuck around.
That's part of the next scene, right? She's with these people that she's staying with in Germany, and they're talking about they're playing the oppression Olympics. And
I hated it.
Yeah,
I hated it.
And they are like, no, all that Hitler stuff. Nope. Nah, you go to jail for that shit. Like, nah, we have that was our dark time.
Yeah,
and
deep shame for that.
Right.
That's
and we
shame
will shame
does.
people for it. Right. And they do not talk about it. Right. Yeah, because we're free, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
The fuck?
I mean,
shame is
like,
good sometimes.
I mean,
guys.
she makes the point of like displaying the swastika is a crime in Germany, right? You get like 5 to 10 years for that shit.
It's like 2 or 3 years.
Nigga, that's 5 to 10.
So, like, she explains that, and then she couples that by saying the Confederate flag, which is the Nazi equivalent in the U.S., is literally a part of the Mississippi State flag.
Mississippi State flag.
right? Like Tate Reeves, who looks like Peter Griffin in real life, the governor of Mississippi, he just started Confederate Appreciation Month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's cute.
yeah. Like, what are you doing? They didn't want to be in the Union. Why are you celebrating that? Like, I thought the Republican Party was like the love it or leave it type of shit. Like, apparently y'all just like love it, leave it. You could stay. Complain about.
They tried to leave it, and then they failed.
Yeah. No, they didn't fail. They were forced to fail. Sherman went down there and fucking lit Georgia's ass on fire. Was like, we're done here. Like, all right, you got us. So they have the Oppression Olympics.
Yeah, they have the Oppression Olympics. The Isabel is talking about slavery, and this German woman is like, well, I think ours is a little worse, right? Because like they didn't want to kill y'all, like they wanted to eradicate us, right? They just wanted to use y'all as cattle. They didn't want us to exist, right? So we got it worse, right? And what was it? It was like 6 million of Jews were exterminated, and then Isabel had to hit her with the big joker and was like, we don't even know the number. How about that?
Right.
You stank ass. Give me that.
I mean, it was kind of fucked up because it's like, obviously there's like the weird Oppression Olympics thing, which is, by the way, don't ever do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Like, it's the worst conversation. Man. It is who would win in a fight, Superman or fucking Goku? Don't do that with like people being oppressed. It's horrendous. Like, it's a stupid argument, right? We had it worse. All right, you did. But not only does she do the Oppression Olympics thing, which is annoying, but she has like a weird like European elitist way about it, and it's like, no. We are not the same as Nazis were not the same as American whites. Are you weirdly defending the Nazis here? Like, it's a bizarre perspective.
It was weird.
Like, turn on the fucking news and look at these American whites emulating your Nazis,
right?
And say they're not the same. Okay.
Right. But it comes full circle, right? They literally pulled shit from American slavery and black people subjugation in the United States as a blueprint for what they did to the Jews, right? Like the movie talks about that, right? And it's actually a powerful scene. It comes up pretty soon here. But what they don't talk about is Hitler admired Henry Ford. Yeah. He was like, this guy is a fucking massive racist. I like this guy. I'm pretty sure he had a picture of Henry Ford in his office.
Yeah, picture in his office, correct.
Of Henry Ford.
Ford.
Right. People often think of the Nazis as, it's like American white people, conducting slavery, and that was horrendous. Then everything was fine. Then the Nazis were the worst people on earth, and they came up with all new shit. No. The assholes in the 30s were just like, what did the real pieces of shit a couple hundred years do? Oh, the assholes in America, what did they do? They nailed it. Why don't we double that shit up? So, yeah, this idea of playing the Oppression Olympics is so stupid, right? It's useless. It's fucking useless. And also, as much as I'm saying it's useless, I just want to point out a fact. Right, and I kind of wish she had pointed it out. Right, they wanted to eradicate Jewish people from the planet. That's true, and they did it by saying they have this undue influence and undue power, and they were able to control all these things. They blamed them for all the ills of the world. They blamed them for why Germany lost World War I. There's not the reason they lost World War I, but they do all of that. But they saw them as human beings. They felt that they had to eradicate them because they had power over them. Mm-hmm. White American slave owners saw black people as less than human. In fact, to her argument, they are not the same, but not in the way that she's saying it. Like, oh, well, they eradicated them. That was far worse. They're both horrendous. One didn't even see them as human beings. Like there's a thing called the three-fifths compromise was the thing for a reason.
It got to that point in Nazi Germany that they didn't see fucking Jews as human, and that's why they were able to just completely eradicate. Well, they completely right. They were able to kill them with ease. And here's an interesting thing: like slavery was, quote unquote, slavery was over in 1865.
Yeah,
he freed the slaves. Suppose that didn't happen, and like technology improved, right? And they didn't need slavery anymore. They didn't need slaves anymore. What do you think they would do?
Right.
Well, we almost
just go ahead and live your lives.
We almost had
ass wipers. You know what I mean? Like you can't. How am I supposed to wipe my own ass if I don't get this nigger over here to do it? Like, come on.
Oh my god.
I feel like
everybody be house niggas.
Would have been killed. I think a lot of.
I feel like they would do the same thing that the fucking the Nazis did.
Yep,
that's what I mean. They're like, we don't need these niggas anymore. We can do basic tasks. You know, we got these robots and shit to take care of, like, you know, industrial shit.
I mean,
we don't need you niggas, and you're too stupid to fucking work the equipment. So
I'll have to look.
That you built.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to remember. I don't know if you guys saw that series or read the book, The Man in the High Tower. That's the sort of twisted history where the Nazis won.
I watched half of that series. I didn't read the book, but but to your point, before you finish making, I'm sorry, was that we almost had that show that was going to show that, and the Wokes shot it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Dudes that did Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. They were just the producers. They weren't writing it. The writers were a black. Yeah, the writers were a black husband and wife duo. Okay. So fuck them. They don't need a job. So.
so okay. Because I wanted to look this up before I said it. So. The Man in the High Castle, not High Tower. The Man in the High Castle is, this twisted history of the Nazis win, right? They win World War II, and they basically, the Nazis and the Japanese split the United States, the continental United States. Japanese take over basically the West Coast. Nazis get pretty much the rest of it. And somebody asked, which is what I want to talk about, which is what happened to African Americans in that universe, right? Because they don't talk about it in the show, right? They kind of like this is already with Nazis. We're trying to keep this shit as reasonable in conversation as humanly possible. But in the book, slavery becomes legal again, which they omit in the television adaptation. From what this person remembers, a lot of genocide happens in Africa. And there's entirely white nations, and apartheid is reinstated. So, give you an idea of what I think is not a crazy thought process of exactly what would have happened. Again, you have a caste system that they had built in Europe. They already think anybody who wasn't white with blonde hair and blue eyes was inferior. So, what happens when they go to Africa? Right? They just slaughter people, right? And they give. They instill an apartheid state, keeping some Africans pushed down, and then they do massive genocide, right? So it makes total sense. So, yeah, I don't think black people would have fared very well if slavery was allowed to continue in the Civil War. So, I don't think so at all. And again, that's a TV show, but I don't think it's a crazy thought process. So after they have the Oppression Olympics at that dinner party, look, I'd have thrown that glass of wine in that white woman's face. Should made me so mad. Shut up.
I mean, that's pretty much what Niecy Nash's character said, right? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
I'd have had some words for her.
There's been some fucking furniture moving in that lovely German household. The United States is flawed. Bitch, you're from Germany. Knock it off. The fuck? Like, look, I'm not saying Germany's not a nice place now. It wasn't always. We know y'all don't really talk to the people in East Germany. Okay, let's not pretend it's not all Berlin over there. Okay, a lot of fucking toothless backwoods fucking Nazis still living over there. Make no mistake about it. Oh, we got a couple of them of our own in America. So we get a flashback of Brett and Isabel kind of meeting for the first time, and like Brett is again, he is a perfect white man. He steps in when she needs help from some like gardener guy. He asks permission. Then he was like, I wasn't mansplaining, was I? And she's like, oh, you're so perfect, white man.
All right, nigga, calm down.
Yeah, this random meet cute in the middle of this serious ass movie kind of threw me for a loop.
I liked it. I liked
He's
it.
a
Though. I
perfect
liked it.
white man. He was the perfect.
But see, this is why they talk about us in the Facebook groups, because in the gender wars, because this is the kind of shit that I wouldn't do. Like shit, that's hubby.
That's fucked up.
Like,
Yeah. How much you charge? You almost done over there?
yeah, it's like shit. I get put the bucket in the backyard. I don't know.
You should fight him. Equal rights and lefts. Go ahead, fight him. That's fine. I believe in you. So then we cut back to Isabel in Germany again, or she's still in Germany, and she gets her hands on this Nazi book that is the minutes from this meeting where these top Nazis are literally looking at Jim Crow laws in the United States and using that as a blueprint for the subjugation of Jews in Germany. Again, this idea that these things are not connected is ridiculous. They're quite literally connected. Nazis didn't just become pieces of shit out of the blue.
And a blueprint.
Yeah, it's quite literally, they just use the United States oppression as a blueprint.
There's an HBO movie about these minutes that came out about 20 years ago.
I think that's the Nuremberg trials you're thinking of.
No, it was not the Nuremberg trials. It's literally a meeting that the high-ranking Nazis had about what to do about the Jew problem, or whatever they called it, the Jewish problem in Germany. I can't remember the name. I watched it last month. I can't remember the name. It was pretty good.
Conspiracy.
Yes, that's what it's called. Yeah, it came out like 2000 or something like that. I think that's what
2000.
I'm not sure if this is the.
Yes, 2001, made for television movie, dramatizes the Wannsee Conference in 1942, using an authentic script taken from the only surviving transcript recorded during that meeting. The film delves into the psychology of Nazi officials involved in the final solution of the Jewish problem during World War II. That's correct.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Yeah,
because these are the actual minutes. It's wild.
Yikes. Yeah, I mean, but again, this idea that it's all disconnected, guys, and everybody is doing their own thing. No, the fuck they were not, and that's the goddamn problem. It's unreal. So then from there, we cut back to the couple that we met, the black couple that was at the Nazi book burning. They heeded the warning of you need to get out of Germany, and they were like, "No problem, we're going."
Yeah, let's go back to the South in the United States.
Out of the frying pan into the other frying pan. Like, God damn,
all right,
y'all ain't got enough. So they team up with this other couple, this white couple, and they're basically authoring this book, Deep South, which is about sort of like. They embed themselves in the Deep South as a black couple and as a white couple. And they basically record all of the shit that they dealt with. They even have to show deference. The black couple has to show deference to this white couple when they see them in town and everything else, because they can never let people know that they are actually friends. And they were anthropologists, by the way, all of them. So Harvard anthropologists. The shit people did back then to kind of get these stories is amazing. I'm not that brave.
No.
Hey, it's just going on down there. Oof, sounds rough.
Nigga, I live in Chicago.
Nah, we out. Come on down. No. Like, pump your brakes. I don't think so.
No. Now, I did find it funny. You might be getting there. I'm sorry if I'm skipping ahead, but I did find it funny when that black woman, when they're sitting there pontificating and, typing and everything, that black woman comes up like, what y'all doing? It's like, you know what? I'm sure is thinking about that cornbread. I cannot wait to get some of those greens, those chitterlings.
They code switch fucking fast as hell. They were like, oh.
Yeah, you got to practice that.
He's like, oh my God, grits with bacon fat again. God damn, y'all ain't got no tilapia or nothing down here. I'm not used to this shit. Yeah, that was super funny. I did chuckle. He was working that shit hard. He's like, please don't notice. Please don't notice. Please don't notice. Like, nigga, they know. They're not stupid.
Y'all some educated niggas.
Yeah. Like, who taught you octagon? So then you see a scene that perfectly encapsulates what it is to be the difference between white and black folks, especially during this time. You see the sheriff of this town or this county they're in. He drives by all the white people there. They're waving and smiling and shit. Everything is good. The sheriff is laughing and pointing, hey, we white together. Like, this is awesome. I mean, they're just like down on the farm. Like, it's fucking crazy. And then he drives by black folks. And look, keep in mind, they're not slaves. This is like during the time of like sharecropping and shit. Like, and this sheriff drives by, same exact sheriff, and all of the black kids, their faces are like stone, right? And they're all concerned.
He might as well have been doing finger guns at them. How this was going?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a 180-degree difference in how he treated black folks and how he treated white people. And look, this shit still happens today. Oh, why you mean mugging? Because this type of shit has been drilled into us, right? You don't get friendly cops and shit like that. Like, it's just it does not happen in our normal parts of town. So she's still in Germany and she has a conversation with one of the guys who was at the dinner party, and she points out the stuff that she learned about how America taught the Nazis how to subjugate Jewish people in this caste system. And this dude is like, damn, I didn't know that. Yeah. And look, I get that she has a character in the movie that's like, oh, cool, I didn't know that. Thank you for educating me. I feel like a lot of people don't actually know that. And
I'm pretty sure they don't.
I didn't know that shit.
Before this movie? I thought you knew that.
I didn't know that they looked at like American slavery as a blueprint.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say it's common knowledge or anything, but yeah, I think it's a thing to understand that like the Holocaust, like Holocaust survivors and people who, unfortunately died in the Holocaust, like they're not disconnected from us. Like quite literally, they were just like, oh, what were they doing to niggers? Cool, let's do that. Let's double down. So it's just, it's sad to see that not die with American oppression, but to then be resurrected that many years later and used again in horrendous ways. And if you're not familiar with history, then it will repeat again, which is really sad. But just as we're getting really, really sad, we go to a black cookout, and things make me feel better. It just does. Seeing black people
that
do
was
the
also
electric
funny
slide
too,
and getting some barbecue, I was like, I feel better. Just for a moment. Just for a moment.
I'm sorry your white husband died, but I got a black man for you.
Yeah, that was a wild. Do you like ribs? Like, thanks. Get away from me. What did you guys think of Niecy Nash's performance, Micah?
Niecy Nash has always been quietly always been a very good actor, and in every role, be it comedy or serious or a mixture of the two. So yeah, I'm not surprised at how well she pulls this off. In the beginning, she's kind of being Niecy Nash, like I'd have told them motherfuckers, I'd have had some words for them German motherfuckers. But then, you know, towards the end of the movie, like she's gotta die. And even just her physical acting of just like laying there is believable. So yeah, she's always been a good actor.
Yeah, I cried at that scene. That shit was fucking hard. Jesus Christ.
Well, and also Niecy Nash, she's the audience, you know, because Isabel has to explain this high level concept of caste, how it relates to American racism, and how we're all victims of this subjugation of it. He has explained this to her, like as she says, "Give it to me plain." So you can get your point across. So I think that she plays a very important role as the audience proxy to that, to kind of get us to understand this high level concept. Because earlier in the movie, when Isabel is trying to explain it to these intellectual whites, they're not fucking getting it. So I like how it bridges that. Niecy Nash's character bridges that to the audience. So I appreciated that. And like Michael said, Niecy Nash is a fantastic actor. She's always delivers when she's in a role.
I don't think I've ever seen anything that she's been in that I didn't like her. Like always, she is.
Well, what about the fake butt in Reno 911?
Nigga, I didn't know for like a year and a half that was a fake butt.
Me neither.
I was just like Niecy, and I was like,
I didn't know until they told me.
Yeah, I was,
Like
Right.
I just thought Niecy Nash was just fucking. She was packing some fucking heat back there. I was like, hey, what's with all that movement back there? Like, I just didn't know. It's one of the funniest videos. I didn't know that. And then when I saw her without it on, I was like, oh damn, okay. Like, no, I didn't know that. No, she was fucking hilarious in Reno 911. She was really good. But yeah, she delivers, and she feels what I always like about her is she always feels like a real person, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to do without coming off as like you just don't give a fuck, so you don't even try to act, right? Like, because that's a difference, right? There's some people you're like, oh, that's you because you don't know how to act. I got it, like. But that's not how she comes off. She feels like herself in the scene. She doesn't feel like weirdly like just bizarrely connected to the scenes. Like this scene alone, she just feels like a person to be like, yo, can you just explain this shit to me? Like regular talk. Like, and yeah, she's very good and very convincing. I like her a lot in this.
She definitely good. She definitely earned an Emmy for something. So
yeah, she's great. And so she has to then explain, after she gives this like big academic explanation of what a caste system is, she has to then explain in like regular speak, what this whole thing is about. And she basically breaks down the thing that is important to understand about this. The caste system and racism are not the same, because if it were, you wouldn't have it in Nazi Germany, you wouldn't have it in India, where the people are the same race. And when she says that, then Niecy Nash's character, Marion, is like, okay, now it makes sense. Now when you tell people, say it like this, because all that other fucking, college mumbo-jumbo bullshit you were saying, I don't understand that. Say it like this, and then you'll get your point across. And that was the sort of the connection to put it together. And look, the three people in her life that pass away, which is a lot. Spoiler alert for Niecy Nash's character. The
three most important people in her life.
Yeah, Joe. And it's like, it feels like it's within like a year, which is crazy. That's absolutely insane. I cannot imagine. They all give her something as they're passing. They all give her something that gets her a little bit further in the book, right? Niecy Nash's character gives her the plain language to use, right? Brett gives her what I would argue you don't really reveal it until the very end, the quote at the end of the movie. But he's the defier of the first pillar of the cast, right? Which is no group mixing, right? So he helps her live that very first break of the cast. And then her mom is sort of this old school perspective, right? That she has to take in, she has to understand in order to, to kind of move forward. So it's interesting. They almost work like acts in a movie themselves, to some degree.
All right.
Then she goes and sees her friend Miss Hale, who I thought was very well portrayed by Audra McDonald. And they're old friends or what have you. She goes to see them, and Miss Hale, her first name is Miss, relays a story about how when she was a kid. Actually, before I get to that, when they're sitting around the dinner table with her kids and her husband and everything else, they're all like, "All right, good night." I'm like, it was mad bread outside. Just saying, it's super early. The husband goes to take the kids up to take a bath, and she's like, "Make sure they take a bath with water." And he's like, "I will." And he's like, "And use a washcloth." I was like, that's for black people. Like, that line was 100% for us. I get it. I see you. So she relays this story. Her and Miss sit down, and she relays this story about how she got like these walkie-talkies or whatever in school, and it drew this whole crowd of kids around her at one point. And the principal comes and sees her and was like, "Why are these people around you?" And she's a little kid growing up in Texas, and she explains she tries to explain what's going on, and he asks like, "What's your name?" And she says, "Miss." And he starts getting pissed because he doesn't believe that that's her real name. And it's to make the point of her name is basically demanding respect. And so the principal doesn't like that. And he literally says to her, "You're not from around here, are you?" And she says, "No." And he goes, "Yeah, because most colored folks know not to stare white people in the eye." And he
and I'm wondering why I call her fucking straight because she's from Alabama.
Yep. Y'all niggas don't know nothing down there either. Y'all know how to act. None of y'all know how to act. It makes total sense. It makes perfect sense to me.
And this story was the late 80s. The time frame matter. This was the late 80s.
How did you guys care? Did you like the scene? Did the scene work for you?
I loved it. I loved it. It didn't have the emotional weight that it had for the character, but I've heard similar stories like this before. Like, I'm sure y'all have, but I'm like, if you really sit down with, when you sit down with like your parents or your grandparents or your aunts and everything, they all have stories like this. Mm-hmm. Before we came along, or just at hill, or even going into the 70s, the late 70s and 80s and 90s, they all have stories like this. Fuck, I remember. I actually remember something not necessarily like similar, but I remember like in a vivid memory of being in Toys R Us of all places. And I think I remember like sitting down at this display, and this fucking white dude with his kids, and I think I may have been around 8 or 9 at the time, just sitting there making monkey noises at me. Wow. So we we all have at some point like vivid, and I didn't know any fucking bad. I was like 8 or 9, but we all have vivid stories like this growing up in certain places, just existing in our blackness, and white people thinking they can just do anything or talk any kind of way to us. You know what I'm saying? So it's fucking wild.
What's really like ironic, I guess, is that he's making monkey noises at you, and you looking at him like a fucking monkey. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, okay, is this your language?
All right. Do you want a fucking banana? Like, what the fuck?
He'd have lost his mind over that shit. How dare you?
Yeah, like I was about to say, like you go back to you said your parents and shit have like we have those experiences.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. So it's fucking wild.
I remember like 6 or 7 years old. I was in a fucking store and some Italian dude called my mother a nigger.
Wow.
Yeah. I was a kid on Long Island, the North.
Oh man.
Yeah, don't forget.
Yeah, but
like,
you grew up in the same
exists.
town as like
Yeah,
Bill
but you-
O'Reilly or whatever.
No, he was in level. He was where the white people could go, and we couldn't.
What year was this?
I was about 7 or 8 years old, so that'd been like 88, 89.
That's
Oh, okay. The same year Do the Right Thing came out? Yeah. Yeah, I believe it.
Right, right, exactly. The right thing came out in 89, right?
Oh, he was fucking heated. He saw that
He was
movie.
still
He was
tight
like,
that they fucked that goddamn pizzeria up.
yeah, he was like, you know what?
Nigga.
He was like, you know what? I'm gonna say that shit when I get in here. Like, you saw your mom through the window. He ain't even eat a pizza. He walked in. He was like, nah, fuck that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so yeah, we always have like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I moved here, I moved to fucking like this is a local cut. I moved to a Padonia when I first moved here.
Yeah.
Cockeysville in the early '90s, where there wasn't black people and Hispanic folks just yet. It was all white people. It was me, my brother, and it was 4 black kids. It was me, my brother, JR, and I have terrible memory, but I remember all of the black kids that I went to school with.
I bet you did. It was 4 y'all. Like, what the
Me,
fuck?
my brother, JR, and Alex, who was half fucking Russian. Fucking wild. Yeah, it was just us 4. And nothing but white people. So we had to I had to maneuver in certain ways as a kid in that area because, them white kids was wilding. And they would be quick to blame us, our black asses on shit. So
Yeah.
I got stories.
Right. But just that very idea of somebody hearing that story who's not black, it's like, oh, yeah, kids are crazy. And it's like, where do you think they learn this shit?
Right.
They don't. Kids don't come out of the womb saying nigga. Like they don't. Like they don't. They hear it at home. They hear it on some TV show or whatever that you're watching. That's where they learn it from. They learn it from. I learned it from watching you, Dad. That type of shit. Right? Like, just the way it goes.
That's right.
So yeah, it's not surprising. So that story that Miss tells, Isabel responds to it, which I think is interesting. When she talks about her name, she says, "Your dad tore a hole in the fabric of the caste." Right? He somehow was able to. It's like a loophole. Like we're not going to respect these people. Well, I'm going to give them a name that you have to respect. Right? And look, black people have long named their children Mr., Miss, King, Queen, shit like that, in order to sort of invoke that level of respect, whether you want to give it or not. So it like looking at it from that perspective is interesting. And look, this woman does a great job with the scene. Like she really, really does. She relays that story in a powerful way. So Marion, played by Niecy Nash, is not doing well. She's like taking oxygen and what have you, and it's not looking good. Meanwhile, Isabel takes her trip to India, and I don't know if she's in Mumbai or not because this is fucking loud. And she gets there, and she eventually meets up with the person that she was supposed to meet up with, who is...
You mean Saray?
Yeah, Saray, I guess is Yangde. It's actually, like, that's really him, right?
No, I was making a joke. I said he looked like Saray.
Oh, Torre. Oh.
He does kind of look like Torre.
It is kind of funny because, like, he's, like, one of the blackest looking Indian dudes I've ever seen. Like,
I was like, is this a nigga? So,
I mean, look, the world is small, yo. I was like, that hair is telling me a different story. Like, I feel like his hair is very similar to, like, he looks like if Michael Jackson never got surgeries, like, or just got like 2 of them and just like let it go. It was like, I'm gonna just stick right here. But yeah, that's legitimately him. That is not an actor. Which is why the scene feels like it kind of switches into a documentary of sorts, right?
yeah, definitely. I remember there being a lot of criticism about this particular portion of the movie because it was the real guy and they're spinning a lot of academic concepts to the audience, which, to your point, I think it works better for me because this is where, like you said, it turns into the documentary piece of the narrative, where it switches to that format. So I think it definitely works better when you do have this academic basically just giving her the history of the Dalits in India and the origins of the untouchables. So, and then juxtapose with the dramatization of what they go through. So yeah, definitely worked for me.
Yeah. One of the pitfalls that movies like this tend to fall into is that it's made by us for us, which, we kind of already know this stuff, right? So it's difficult to tell a story that is engaging with things that we already know about, right? I would argue we really know we're all race scholars on the oppression of Black people in America. And due to how American schools teach European history, we all know to varying degrees of the Holocaust, right? But I found this part of the movie the most engaging for me just because it's something that I don't have a lot of exposure to. And, that could be a me thing. I'm a dummy. But
I never heard the term dollar before.
Yeah, but I haven't. This is just not a part of the world that gets talked about. And yeah, I'm Isabel in this scene where the one woman is like, yeah, Martin Luther King wrote about it. You ever heard of Ebony Magazine? And she was like, what?
Ebony?
What y'all know about Ebony?
That's where I get my hair tips from.
Look how weird this shit is.
I skipped that letter. I went straight to the beauty section. So.
It was kind of funny because it was one of those like black ass moments, like Ebony Magazine. How you know about Ebony Magazine? Like, what you know about it? I didn't know that. Like when they play that speech, like one of the best ways to knock down the argument of like, no, I think these things are largely disconnected. It's like, here's a speech by Martin Luther King Jr. saying that he recognizes himself as an American untouchable. Pretty hard to fucking argue with that one. Like, I mean, did he really understand race? Like,
no, Jay, no. The only thing that Martin Luther King ever did was give the "I Have a Dream" speech
and cheat on his wife.
Yeah,
right?
that one part. That one part.
Yeah, just the one part. Don't read the beginning. Don't read any of the shit after it. Like, it's super long. It's super long. He needed an editor, but yeah, no, he ain't say nothing important. Like, knock it off. He was cool with white people treating black people like shit. Everybody knows that. As long as everybody just came together. That was Martin Luther King Jr.
If Martin Luther King had lived, he would be a Republican and be MAGA.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I just heard that. So.
Republicans are wild. Martin Luther King would have thought this. Will you niggas please shut up? Like, get out of here, yo. Like, no. Like, you don't know anything about Martin Luther King besides the "I Have a Dream" speech. And like you said, you only know the one part. Like, that's all you know. You barely know that. But yeah, like they do. That was a powerful thing to use because you really can't make the argument of like, these people are wildly disconnected to black people. It's like, and roll the Martin Luther King Jr. tape. Damn it. Like, it's hard to argue it. It's really hard to argue it, especially not just talking about it, but playing the audio of his actual fucking speech there is wildly powerful. And I have to say I'd never heard that. I didn't know. I knew he went to India, but I didn't know, like, all right, he went. Like, cool. He was inspired by Gandhi. Everybody knows that. But I didn't know it went any further than that. So, yeah, this guy that she's with, Indian Michael Jackson, is like, listen, and I mean that in the kindest of ways. He shows her a statue of a guy, Basahabed, and I'm probably butchering that, who was an Indian lawyer, but he was also in the untouchable class. And he is seemingly the ultimate Indian version of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And this poor, I mean, quite literally, like this guy wasn't even, the caste was seen as so low that in school, the fact that he even went to school is amazing, by the way. He wasn't allowed to sit on a desk or sit at a desk because he wasn't allowed to touch the chairs, or he wasn't allowed to drink from the water fountain because he's not quite literally untouchable, because they thought that their shadows were poison. They were tainted as human beings just because of where they were born. That's it.
You gotta pour the water on your face, and that's how you just get whatever can flow into your mouth. So, and like that school scene, that school scene kind of almost broke me a little bit. You know, not because of any upbringing that I had, but just kind of like seeing this little boy that is eager to learn, but he is all the way in the back on the floor, can barely see the chalkboard, and just trying to absorb any information he can so he can learn, and keeping that determination up over the course of the years of his life to, like you said, pull himself up by his bootstraps and still be considered you ain't shit, you know. So powerful.
I mean, look, they glossed over a little bit on his education, just because they're like, well, he has 2 doctorates, one from Columbia University and another one from the London School of Economics. I mean, this guy, literally from the lowest class, right? In India, this guy had a degree in arts, a Master of Arts, PhD in philosophy and economics, master's degree in science. He's a barrister, PhD in science, Doctor of Law, an honorary Doctor of Law, Doctor of Literature, honorary. He was educated at University of Mumbai, Columbia University, London School of Economics and Political Science, Elphinstone College, Government Law College of Mumbai. He was also he also was a student to 3 very famous people who also came after him. Like this guy fucking did it all. He's an economist, a politician, a constitutional specialist, a barrister, a jurist, a sociologist, an anthropologist, a master of pedagogy, a writer, a philosopher, social reformer, journalist, revolutionary, political scientist, speaker, like activist for human rights. Like, when you're given a chance to fucking make it, this guy was like, I'm doing all the things. I'm taking on everybody who came before me. I'm just gonna do all of this shit too. But he's seen as this massive symbol for the untouchable class because he was able to pull himself all the way up, which is fascinating, and he's revered, but he's also hated by a lot of people too because he's from the untouchable class, because the caste system is that deep. It's that deeply sewn into the fabric of India culture.
Yeah, his statue is the most. They said it was the most vandalized statue on the streets of India because he's in that class system. Like you can't respect this dude for making something of himself, even from his low station. You gotta vandalize the memory and trying to destroy his statue because he's of a quote lower class. With all of this,
right?
Even still, like you fucking. Yeah, I was gonna say some racist, but no.
But I mean, it's wild to see that people justify that sort of thought process, right? Like they just do. Like, oh well, it's lower class. Look, here's a modern sort of tie into this. If anybody, I I've watched it. My wife is Indian, so of course I've seen it. Indian Matchmaking on Netflix. It's a fascinating show, by the way. But
arranged marriages?
Yeah, they are. They are arranged marriages, right? Arranged marriages are still very much a thing in India. It's actually wild. Like the process, it seems less crazy when you watch it. You're like, actually, that kind of does make sense. Like, y'all here just dating randos. Like, at least your family is like, I read this nigga's profile. This is terrible. Don't pick him, right? But even on that show, where they do matchmaking both in India and in America, right? Indians who live in America, their caste does come up quite a bit. It's like, well, I'm looking for a person. I'm looking for a person who's a Brahmin. I'm looking for a person who is Kshatriya or something like that, because it is so. These are people living in the U.S. Fucking America and all this bullshit. That system has followed them, even to the U.S. for them to be like, I get it, but at the same time, like my wife has a person in her family, so they're like Brahmins, I believe, are like the religious leaders. I think that's I think that's why they're considered the top. Yeah, they're the religious rulers, right? And then just below that are the Kshatriya, which are like the kings, like the royalty type of things. And not that my wife is royalty, relax. We're broke. And I wish. And the whole thing is like somebody in her family. Fuck you, Micah.
I was about to say it too like this.
I don't know what you said. Doesn't even matter. I can see your face. Just on principle. But somebody in her family married a Brahmin. And like it was a fucking problem. Where they were just like, like her like the woman this guy married, her family was like, him? Like, yo, he's not an untouchable, but he's in a lower caste. So it was like, yeah, I don't know about all that. So
economically though, and not to get into your family business, but economically though, were they equal or he was higher, but just the fact that he was in this particular lower class,
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, is that dude like rich or whatever? I don't know her financial background, but if I had to guess, they were probably close to equal. But like when my wife and I got married, and we've not been to India together, but the first thing they asked her when it was like, she got engaged or whatever, her Indian family, it's just a common thing. Is this a love marriage or is this an arranged marriage? Like, they don't give a shit. Like, her family doesn't give a shit that you're married to somebody who's outside of the race or whatever. They don't care, right? Because like her dad did. Like, he left and came to America and married somebody who's not Indian. But immediately the question is it a love marriage or is this an arranged marriage? Because there are more, as time has gone on, there are more quote unquote love marriages, right? As we think about marriage, but arranged marriages still exist. So I think the reason why they married out of the caste is theirs was a love marriage, right? So they met each other and they were just like, you know what? Fuck the system. We're just going to do this shit. But for people in her family, I think it was kind of a problem.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it's fucked up, but crazy shit exists everywhere, guys. It's wild. It's wild. You should watch Indian Matchmaking. It's fucking fascinating. There's one woman on there that is a fucking asshole, and I hope she stays single forever. She's the worst. She's just the worst person. So they learn more and more about this sort of connection, and they learn about how Martin Luther King actually wrote about India and being an American untouchable in Ebony magazine in 1959. And he also had a speech about it as well, which they end up playing during this. Michael, what did you think of the open book concept of that building, you big architecture nerd? You're muted.
You're muted.
That would be the reason I would go to India, is just to look at the architecture. I asked my wife, is India on your bucket list? And He said, "Yeah, but it's not up there."
It's a lot. Yeah. I imagine this is a fucking lot.
Yeah. Actually, we know someone who's getting ready to go there for 2 weeks, and she's like, yeah, maybe we got a lot of other places we want to see first. I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah, I have to imagine some of the architecture is pretty dope.
This building.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool. Terrence, what did you think of the India scene altogether?
Like Michael said, this is the most interesting part because all the other stuff you kind of know. And again, learning about the Dalits and this guy, how learned he became from nothing.
It's literally
India is a wild place, man. India is a wild place to have that caste system. Such, like, one would argue it is worse than here. I mean, we don't get lynched anymore.
It does feel worse. It definitely does feel worse.
Like, God damn, it's
still going
nuts.
on.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Like, it's crazy.
Well, you literally have the slums across the street from skyscraper homes, and I don't mean like, oh, it's a tall house. Like, there are billionaires in India that literally have skyscrapers for homes, and they live directly across the street from the slums, the poorest people in the entire country.
Like the slums. We're not talking about like American slums.
No,
there's a difference. It's a massive difference between here and fucking India. Just learning about this is fascinating. We don't have it the worst. That's all I'll say.
I mean, look, I'm
There's
not.
that one scene when the dude has to clean out the toilet or clean out the open.
I was waiting till he got there, but that was
wasn't a fan. Not a fan.
Nope.
Get down there.
Nope.
I think not.
Kill
like,
me.
fuck
Okay,
you.
just kill. I would rather die.
Nah,
So,
man. And the only barrier they have is oil. No thanks. I better call Roto-Rooter as a bitch. Get the fuck out of here. It was pretty terrible, man. Yeah,
hey, Terrence, I have a question for you. Was this slow motion? Was this better or worse than?
Rebel Moon.
Considering the slow motion was used in a way to actually add impact to the sequence, it's better here.
Okay. I just want to throw that in.
Like, again, that motherfucker, he just does it just because he can do it. No, it isn't actually added to the scene. Like the gross factor. It's fucking horrible,
Yes.
man. Good Lord.
So they talk about this guy Baba Sabeb actually going to New York and Harlem very specifically,
Harlem, right.
and meeting black folks when he was there because again he went to Columbia University in New York and finding kinship with them because he saw them in the same light as how Indians in the Dalit class are treated as well. So again, we are far more similar than we are different. If we're willing to acknowledge those similarities. While Isabel is in India, her cousin Marion, played by Niecy Nash, passes away. The scene of the scene of her sister, or excuse me, her cousin passing away was real fucking sad, yo. Real fucking sad. That was a breaking point.
I'm just calling to say goodbye. It was very, very heart wrenching.
Yeah. And look, I don't even believe in heaven or anything else. And I was like, it was just really beautifully done. It was. It really was. I'm sure, Micah, as a religious person, you were really brokenhearted about this. And
as soon as you learn all this uplifting stuff about this guy, and it's like, oh, wow, like this guy really came from nothing and really made something of himself. Death. Because
y'all get too happy.
You can't. Don't get too. It's okay to get inspired, but like, just remember, death.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
Death comes for us all. All right, damn.
Yeah, she really does. She's like, you feeling good? You feeling good? Yeah, watch this. Now you're sad again. Like, oh, I am. Like, no, you don't get to have a good time here. We're not here for a fun time. We're here for some serious shit. Speaking of that, we cut back to Germany. And so this is where I think the movie does a really cool thing where Isabel is she's starting to kind of deal with what the pillars of building a caste system are, right? As she's writing this book. And one of the first things she deals with is igdogamy, which is the prohibition of sex and marriage between castes. As in the, like the message, I can never pronounce that word. Anyway.
Miscegenation?
Thank you. Laws in America. And so DuVernay cuts back to the 1930s, and you show that that couple, the German guy, Landmesser, August Landmesser, and his wife, the Jewish woman, and they show the Nazis find that they have a child together, which of course is not okay. And they don't show it. They take the child, but they don't show it. But you have to imagine they killed the daughter. Because
yeah, the subtext was the text.
No,
in that
they didn't. They didn't.
No,
I actually read up on this. They didn't kill the daughter. They get arrested.
Okay.
Thankfully.
He gets thrown in jail, and then he fights. Then he gets out and fights. I can't remember what army he fought for, because he's German. The woman, the wife, she gets thrown into a concentration camp, and she actually does die. They show her. They do show
her.
So does he ever get his daughter back or no?
No, he died in 1944. He died. He was killed. Killed in action. So
sad.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Fun times had by all, everybody.
Well, did y'all recognize the actress though?
I've seen her in things before.
Victoria Pedretti, from Haunting of Hill House.
She was in the last.
She was in You. That's
season.
right. She was the fucking psycho girlfriend that he had. That's right.
Yeah.
I Wolf You.
And I think the guy was in Nurse Ratched on Netflix. I believe that was him.
Yes,
Probably.
he was. Yeah. He's been in a number of things too. Yeah, that's right. That's fucking Love From You. God damn it. Good call. So yeah, they take the daughter or whatever, and it's just showing you this level of kind of ripping these families apart. They show a lynching, and you see these white people. They're all happy. They're like, "Let's have a picnic, y'all." And
how did y'all feel about that, showing that? Because I'm kind of torn on that, on that particular aspect of it. I don't. Again, we've seen, we've seen aspects of lynching in certain things. We saw it in 12 Years a Slave, but I'm always kind of like torn on the depiction of that. I think this is more of a little bit more horrific because it does definitely show, at least to me, it does definitely show how these white children were indoctrinated to basically look at these murders as something that was wholesome family entertainment. And, when we see things like maybe Rosewood, I mean, it was a little bit of it in Rosewood with the little boy, and it was like lynching Ving Rhames. But this was a little bit more gruesome because, like, they're just having this little angelic white child, like, hey, look at this, take a picture. And I'm like, oh my God, it was like hard. It was fucking awful.
We were having a conversation before we even started recording about the movie Midsummer, right? And we were saying like how fucked up it seems because everything happens in the daylight, and it's just everybody's just like, whatever, it's cool. Like there's no shame in it, right? There's no shame in these horrendous acts. That's what this feels like to me, right? Is what is actually the most devastating part is how happy-go-lucky the white people are, right? Like
Yes.
the black man being lynched is already horrendous, but doing it under the guise of like, oh, did you get any corn? Did you get some sweet potatoes? Like they're just living their lives as if it is a completely normal thing to hang a black man for sleeping with a white woman, because that's why he's killed by white. That's why that scene comes directly after them grabbing this child in Nazi Germany, right? This idea of, you know, violence or jail time comes down on people for breaking these laws of endogamy. So it's
I think this movie gets dangerously close to this stuff being gratuitous.
Towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, even with like the extended Trayvon Martin stuff, you know, the struggle, and you know the I can see playing the phone call, but seeing the flash of the muzzle flash of the gun, and seeing this lynching, seeing these Germans rip this daughter away from these people, like I get it. I get it, but you know, they really pack it on towards the end, and then at the very end, well, we'll talk about.
People had some issues with that ending. Yeah,
I mean,
we'll talk
they
about
show they show the slave ship, right? That was definitely bothersome to me.
Yeah, I could have did without that.
Right.
Like I get
look,
it. Like
but
I
get
it.
And here's the thing. That's us. I'm sure Jewish people watching this like, I could have done without seeing Jewish women have their head shaved and this mother being fucking shot in the head. Right? Like
man.
that's a lot.
Like,
and that's where we bring our own trauma and our own history to the film, right? But at the same time, as I say that, right? And I don't personally think it's gratuitous. I think it is sometimes you got to shake niggas and be like, yo, this shit is fucking real, right? Like, and I think that's important, right? But I can understand why it would bother other people. I've seen a lot of movies that have been pretty in your face. Again, the movie Elle can be mentioned here, which is pretty fucking in your face. But
I mean, that was gratuitous. I mean, right? Because that has absolutely nothing to do with the story, right? Like that was
very
To the very end.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Well, to the very end, but that's the thing that's kind of saving this movie is that from me putting it in the like misery porn category.
Sure.
Because it's, you know, we're dealing with these heavy subjects and we're depicting these traumas because we are talking about the subject matter. And it's related to it. So it's a hard watch, and it's a hard watch by design.
Yeah.
And,
it is.
You know, and her character even states, you know, restates the thesis of the film in that, like, hey, you might be thinking, what are we doing? And we all know this, but sometimes you need to see it. Sometimes you need to be reminded of it, because if you're not, it might happen again, like really, really soon.
Right. Pay the fuck attention, right? But that scene, that, you know, when we're just talking about, like, for us, seeing the scenes, the slave ship scenes are like, those is a powerful fucking heavy moment. The lynching thing is a heavy moment, right? And like I said, I'm sure for Jewish people watching this, seeing this shit from the Holocaust is a heavy moment for them, like especially heavy, right, for both parties. For that also to be true, and then for them to link the killing of the woman at the hand of the Nazi with Trayvon Martin's death at the, like, literally the same time, right? You see she gets killed, he gets killed. I'm not sure there is a better we're connected here fucking moment, right? That's what she's trying to say. And so the gratuity of it, or the gratuitousness of it, I understand. I can understand that argument. Please stop digging in shit. That's really gross. Like, It's just a really disgusting scene. But I can understand hating that scene. But the point of it is to show we are our traumas are connected in a deep way, and we have to realize that. Because to me, I can't even look at that scene in the Holocaust scene and not feel something because I'm a fucking parent, right? That woman don't look like me. Her kid don't look like my kid. But that idea of someone taking my kid and I feel fucking harmless, I try anything to get to that kid. I try anything, knowing that even trying could end my life and theirs. But it's your child. And like to me, that's where the powerful aspect of that scene comes in. And then to see a kid struggling, a young kid struggling, and you see that, whether you're black or not, seeing that young kid struggling and him yelling out for help, he's still a kid. Like, it's a powerful moment. It's hard to watch, but like you said, it's hard to watch by design. Like, and that's where I think her brilliance as a director really comes into play.
Right. And the one thing I will say about these movies that she does that frustrates me the most about all of her movies is these movies are designed for a certain group of people to watch that are never going to see it. That's the part that pisses me off the most. Like the people that need to see that heck to get that gut punch, they're not going to watch it. Black, white, don't matter who the fuck it is. They're just not going to watch it, especially white folks. They want to watch Green Book. I'm sorry, I can't.
We're not going to do this.
Like you watch stupid shit like that instead of like movies that actually mean something.
Terrence, I will promise you. It's April 30th, 2024. I will make a promise to you. If I outlive you, I will make sure that I convince somebody to. If I have to do it my fucking self, I will carve it by hand into your gravestone. He hated Green Book, and he felt that way to his last dying breath. It didn't deserve Best Picture.
It did not. It did not. Y'all know that shit's true.
Here lies
Green Book didn't deserve Best Picture. Fuck no, it didn't.
Here lies Terrence. He hated Green Book. It did not deserve the Best Picture, whatever year it was. Just in quotes. But we get a scene of this guy telling this white guy telling a story of like when he was a kid, he was 9 years old, and he was on this baseball team, and the baseball team went to this park to go swimming at this pool. They were all excited, and they had one black kid on their team who they were all friends with, and he was not allowed to swim in the pool.
Star player.
Yeah, their star player. And he was not allowed to swim in the pool. And he had to sit outside the fence while the other white kids enjoyed their time in the pool. And then once they decided that, okay, he can get in the pool, but he has to be on this raft and have this lifeguard pull him around the pool, and he cannot touch the water.
Like, Nick, fuck you. Fuck you. Okay? Because, like, no way. First of all, where were the parents? Not gonna go in there, but still, like that was heartbreaking. That was literally heartbreaking to watch this child, this little black boy, be dehumanized. That he could not experience this same joy with his friends who these are kids. They all see him as equal, but you have these white parents that are going along with this racism, with this caste system, and saying that we have to exclude this little boy from experiencing joy. Because far be it for us that our white kids, they can't stand in solidarity with him. But this was basically the crux of the movie for me, and it was so heartbreaking. But that's what I do. Like I mentioned before, I do like how we end the scene with Isabel having Congress with the boy and just letting him know that, hey, this is not going to be your whole life. You know, right. I understand a little part of you died at this moment, and that's why we're going to grieve this moment, but you're going to go on and live your full life that you're supposed to have. and let this moment be the past. So
Right.
I love that.
This shit made me so mad, yo. I can't.
bro.
I can't.
No.
This shit made me so
supposed to.
fucking mad. I can't even watch it while we're doing this, man, because
It's
Because
humiliating.
he kind of favors your son a little bit.
yes,
Yeah, he
nigga.
kinda does.
Yeah, I get it.
I thought the same thing. I was like, I recognize that lanky little boy.
Mad, yo.
Yeah. Like what? We've seen pictures of like
but-
white folks pouring bleach into fucking pools to get black folks out of them and shit like that. It's just this is the wild shit that this was in the 50s, man.
Right. Now here's the thing.
60 years ago.
So there are two things, right? One, there were public swimming pools all over the United States before integration of pools, right? They were everywhere. And immediately when that happened, when they said we're going to do integrated swimming, July 19th, 1950, immediately people were like, concrete, we're done, right? Like
did that
fill up the
before?
pools. Yeah, they just got rid of them, right? You want to know, like, this is the thing. This is a systemic thinking that lacks in a lot of conversations that really pisses me off. I love to make fun of this guy about not knowing how to swim, right? Like just because, like, it's fun, right? But in all seriousness, the reason so many black kids don't know how to swim is because of access, and the reason that black kids don't have access is because white people would rather take their own access away for swimming pools and free public pools. They would rather take their own away than to make sure that black people had an equal chance at using it. It's a very true thing. So on the first day of integrated swimming, July 19th, this is at, I forget where this is. This is in St. Louis, Missouri. July 19th, 1950. Only seven white swimmers attended, joining three brave black swimmers under the shouts of 200 white protesters. That first integrated summer, that park had just 10,000 swims, right? 10,000 people swam there that summer. You know how many it was the summer before that? 313,000. That's how much in the 1950s white people were so desperately afraid of black people having an ounce of equality. Not more, equality. So when people say, oh, black people don't know how to swim, let's laugh about it. That's why. That's why. Systemic thinking of taking shit away affects generation after generation after generation. So in 1950, when black kids didn't have a chance to fucking swim, right? Because all the time before, they almost never had a chance, right? When was a rare occasion black people had a chance to be at a pool where no white people are? What the fuck rarity was that? You probably swim in a lake down south, if we're being honest. That's probably where they mostly learned. So then 1950 comes and they're like, all right, niggas in the pool. And then they're like, nope, we're getting rid of these, right? Never forget Dorothy Dandridge had a pool. They poured bleach in the motherfucker after she stepped one toe in it. Right?
Yep.
That's fucking real history. This is the 1950s. So the kids of this kid's age in the scene, he's 9 or 10 years old, right? That's 1950s. He has a kid, he has a grandchild, maybe even a great-grandchild. When do they have access? Because you have to say, okay, they got to live near a public pool. They got to live in a climate that maybe has it. Or they got to have money enough to have their own pool. What the fuck? So a 0% chance, right? So this idea of, and I think this scene does two things. It reinforces, one, how gross people can be to each other, especially to even little kids. And it really fucking makes me mad. But the other thing is, it's a mirror, which he does a lot in this movie. It's a mirror to the Indian kid who couldn't touch anything when he's sitting in the fucking classroom.
Right.
That's the mirror, right? He sitting and getting an education, you're not allowed to sit at a desk. You could be in the classroom, but you're not allowed to touch anything. You could be in the pool, but you're not allowed to touch the water. Then what the fuck am I doing here? Right? So she plays it perfect in that regard. And it is somehow it's even more heartbreaking than the violent scenes we were talking about a minute ago. Because you're doing this damage to this child. You are like the white kid who's being indoctrinated to watching violence against black people and just being like, I guess this is fucking normal, right? It's not her fault. To the white kid who's like, I just wanted my friend to play, like to swim in the pool with us. It fucks him up. And then it fucks the black kid up because he's like, what the fuck? What did I do? In this humiliating moment where they pull me around and go, don't touch the fucking water. How about I just sit outside? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'd rather just stay outside.
Kids, right. You do damage to children. Those 3 different kids get damage done to them. And then you push them out into the world and say, act normal. How can they? Like she says, a little bit of him died inside. A little bit died in all 3 of those kids.
Oh, is that? Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. You know, and you know, I hate to like sympathize with the white man in this movie, but you can definitely tell that this guy, you know, he's just trying to be a good white man in life, but you know, but he's a little kid and he's powerless essentially to protect his friend, and you know, he doesn't really know what to do with that, and he's growing up, and that's like, imagine him growing up living through all of that. His friend is dead, and he is seeing like black people throughout the years, you know, being oppressed, and he's silently reliving that trauma every time. You know, racism fucks everybody up.
Yeah,
fucks everybody up,
and that is the thing that people do not realize is even the people who put together the caste system, you ultimately tear yourself up too. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's not like, oh, cool. Like just because I get to see these people getting this trauma, you know, thrown on top of them, you fuck yourself up too, right? Like she makes a point. I forget where it is in the film where she talks about how like white people didn't really think we were animals. They didn't really think we were less than human. They just cranked the lie up. They cranked the lie up because you wouldn't allow your children to be raised by people.
Yeah, it was a Toni Morrison quote.
Yes,
it was at the picnic or the cookout. Yeah, and she was talking about it's like you wouldn't let an animal take care of your child. That's crazy.
Right. Exactly.
So
so you knew, but you cranked up the lie because it was convenient to your way of life. Yeah, I mean, again, she don't fuck around when it comes to films like this, like
not at all.
Look, and here's an out of the box fucking statement, and I'll take it. You can yell at me if you want. People, oh look, you need somebody who can deal with race and bigotry, you know, to really nail this stuff. You want an out of box director for an X-Men movie? Ava DuVernay.
I can see it.
She'd be one. Nobody can do what Bo DeMayo can do. You sure about that?
Well, you remember
have her direct and have him write it.
Be a powerful fucking team. Be a powerful fucking team.
What did he do to get fired? She'd be like,
you remember
like,
that she
just stay over there, just write the shit and slide it under the door. I don't want to see your face. There you go. There's your out of the box X-Men director. Because when it comes to fucking bigotry, she got it. She got the shit on lock.
Yeah, you remember when she was on the short list for Black Panther, and she wasn't able to do it, and she suggested Ryan Coogler. So,
yeah, I mean, look, she was supposed to do New Gods for DC. Thank God that didn't happen. She was just a waste of her fucking talents with those fucking jackasses. But yeah, and the last scene, she walks out of her house. She's sold this house, and she kind of walks out, and she's kind of seeing these characters that we've been kind of flashing to, right? The Jewish couple, or the German and the Jewish woman who died in the Holocaust. The author, the black couple who were the authors of Deep South. Then Brett, her now dead husband, and of course Trayvon Martin at the end, which I thought was a powerful moment, like because they're all a part of this book, right? And the Indian professor as well.
The professor,
yeah, the Indian professor.
And so she passes by Trayvon and she's sort of crying, and I thought the final words of the book were really good. I'm trying to fast forward here because I think it was really interesting. The critically acclaimed book, Caste, remained among the top in the nation for 58 weeks, rising to number one on the week of the 2020 U.S. presidential election, right? Which I think is good. Wilkerson's book's dedications read, "To the memory of my parents who survived the caste system and to the memory of Brett who defied it." That to me, that moment at the end, I was like, it makes his character make all the sense in the world. He is the first thing she talks about, the first pillar of the caste system is endogamy. Breaking the idea of if you are in a different group, you are not allowed to marry or have children with this other group. And for her to say, in the memory of her husband who defied it, their relationship, their marriage literally defied the caste system, right? I thought that was a powerful dedication to do for that book. So, yeah, I think it's stellar. I think it is. I said it was her best feature film. I think it's her best work. As we kind of go through it again, I think it's her best. I really do. So, you guys have anything else to say before we get out of here?
No, I just want to. We kind of skipped over this, but I do like the little personal small touches of her life as well. Where when we do see that we see that she's, as my wife walks in and sees the little boy on screen. But when she lost Brett and she doesn't have anyone to remind her to get her keys, these little small touches of Isabel Wilkerson's life that we see creep through really adds to the narrative, and that Ava was able to weave into this story. Again, it is a masterpiece of storytelling, how she was again able to take this dense piece of nonfiction work and make a narrative tale and relate it on a level that that race scholars can understand, laymen can understand, you a casual white viewer can understand. Again, it's her, like you said, Jay, it's her best work by far. Cannot wait to see what she does next.
Hey, Jay. Hey, Martha.
Hello.
She's going out.
All right, Micah, Terrence, you guys have anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, look, this is I'm trying to get critic consensus. Most people absolutely love it. It's got like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, right? So I'm always when something's lopsided like that, I'm always curious as to what the negatives are. And it's this isn't new news and it's long, right? Like we know all this stuff and it's long. I would argue most people don't, which is why we have to keep reinforcing it. And even if we do know it, like the movie states, you need to be reminded of it.
Right.
Look, the movie is probably her best film. It's something that it's not told in a linear narrative, which can be difficult for some people.
But it works. It definitely works, though.
I think it works. I think it works here because you get a bunch of like aha moments,
right?
Like like you said, that's his character makes all the sense in the world now, right? Yeah, this is really good, and once again, she successfully made me mad.
Yeah, but she's supposed to.
Happy, sad, mad.
Yeah. Well, that's what art does, right? It invokes emotion, and that certainly is this. You get all of it, and really good movie.
Terrence, any thoughts?
It's good. Once again, it's not going to reach the audience that needs to see it. And that's the most, like I said, that's the most frustrating shit. So we do these movies, and the people that are supposed to see these movies, the movie made $1 million at the box office.
That's fucking insane to me.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
makes
Like, I
me
didn't
so
see the
mad.
movie, but like they're just not gonna watch it at all, and it's the frustrating part. And then you said something about before we go. You said something about access. With the pool, he didn't have access to the pool. Like that's pretty much the entirety of racism. You just take access, just period, just access, full stop, away from a person. And what the fuck are they supposed to do?
And listen. What did the fucking Nazis say when they were having their fucking little Nazi meeting? You cannot do these things to the Jews if they still have their nice cars and their nice jewelry and their nice influence. We have to take that away from them. You have to deny them access to those things. And the second you can, and they have no power, then you can do it. The untouchables are the same thing. They have no access to anything. This guy just happened to get access to education. How the fuck he pulled that off, I have no idea. But that's the same thing. It's you deny them, and you're absolutely right. That is what it is in the United States. It's just denying us shit. Like there's a long, not to get too much in the weeds here before we go, but there's a long history of the reason the United States suffers so poorly when it comes to healthcare is because there are a bunch of articles written like in the early 1900s, maybe 1930s or something like that, where they basically were like, if we just don't give the Negro health care, they'll die out in a generation or two. Yeah. And
they wanted to do universal health care, but they were like, not the niggas.
Yep.
That's why we don't have universal health care because of us. Because they hated us so much.
They hate us. And they still do. Because, the argument is, why do I want to pay for this thing for other people? Universal, like it's in the word. Like, come on, everybody. But they would white American racists would rather destroy access for everybody than to give up a little bit for others.
They would cut their nose off to spite someone else's face.
Right. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. Like, all right, that seems weird. Like,
like twisted logic. That fucking it's just twisted, man. It's
super twisted. But yeah,
you got to pay crazy premiums because your ancestors hated us. Because racism, exactly.
Because racism. It's the Kenya Barris approach to government. Why is this not working? Because racism. Like, then you look into it, you're like, damn, he's right. Like, he is. And it's fucking wild. So, all right, there you go. Look, we will have a preview episode next week. I don't know what the movie will be that we announce, but I promise you it will be light. It'll be a very light film. God damn. Might be for fucking 2 episodes. Like, Jesus Christ.
Soul Plane. I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
Not that light. Y'all can do it. I won't be on here. So, all right, we will see you guys back for the next preview episode. Juwan, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. Look, you of course are welcome here. We did not replace Tiara. Okay, I just want to put that out there. She still exists in the world. I did talk to her. She's going to be back probably in the next couple of weeks. So she's got something going on. But around early summer, she'll be back. Okay, so cool. Make sure you check out Edit That Out podcast with Juwan and his other co-hosts in their I'm sure shenanigans. And
yes,
and we will see you guys next week for a preview episode.
See you.
Take it easy.
Peace.
You're watching the Black on Black Cinema YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our full reviews of Black movies, past and present. And every other week, we do a preview episode where we talk about a random topic that affects the Black community.